Well, hello there. Welcome to your overview of the mini MBA in customering. Let's take a look at the modules that you can expect to study. In Module 1, we introduced the all-important customer imperative. This emerged managerially and economically in the 21st century, but in the absence of an industrial response, we saw the rise of popular, often digitally inspired malpractice, with corporate loss now from failed customer programs in the many trillions of dollars annually. Instead, the customer imperative requires that we understand the customer base as an enterprise asset, applying the correct sciences, economics, and disciplinary management, and this is the foundation to customering, so we'll start here. In Module 2, we'll explore the roles of the scientific revolution and of managerial precedent. We'll return to the foundations that establish both high-performing professions and the quality management systems that underpin them. Ultimately, this informs the formal management of our most valuable strategic asset, our customer base. Module 3 covers the core tenets of the marketing method. Why, you may be asking? Well, it's really important to understand the impact that formal marketing and brand has on the customer asset, and the critical differences between the marketing and the customering methods. We'll discuss the arrival of market-based economies, marketing's 3 pillars of management, and relevant concepts from marketing science. Later in the course, that will enable us to explore the critical intersections of the 2 methods. For now, though, we move to Module 4, Understanding the Customer Asset. This is where many fail. If you don't understand an asset type, you have no hope of managing it. And no, this has nothing to do with surveys. What is the economic mission of customer management? Does it apply to all categories and industries? What's the risk profile? Module 4 sets the scene, if you like, by defining the customer asset properly, informing our use of science and managerial practice. And that concludes the foundation modules of the course. In Module 5, we move to customer identity and intent. These are our first 2 operational pillars of the method. Now, certain interests, shall we say, have confused people on these topics. We'll cut away from that noise. I teach identity in 4 sections: core principles, hierarchy, uniformity controls for activation, and of course, privacy. With this established, we then progress in our managerial model to customer intent. Here, you can expect to learn methods of detection via individualized context, the behavioral paradigm, and the customer jobs through their journeys, not the company's, both live and longitudinally. Really, truly important subject. On to the 3rd pillar, Module 6 covers our interaction library. Building on our mastery of customer identity and customer intent, we can now deliver meaningful interactions that advance the customer imperative, which we learnt about in Module 1. In this module, then, we introduce you to the customer engagement stack, which introduces and distinguishes the offer from services and from the industry's least understood word, and yet it's crack cocaine, experiences. Then you'll look at the tactical areas of asset design in its various forms, as well as customer channels and ecosystems. Right, Module 7 is where we discuss our interaction architecture. You can expect to learn key system principles and the laws of critical decisioning and orchestration as we bring all the moving parts together in one harmonized customer interaction layer, biased to service, aligned to the customer imperative, our risk profile, and our economic guidelines. This concludes the 3 I's of customering: identity, intent, and interactions. There's one more pillar in the customering method, but before we get there, we return, as promised, to the intersections between the marketing method, which we learnt about in Module 3, and the customering method, which we have just completed in Modules 4 to 7. Here, in Module 8, we'll cover the unintended consequence of the marketing funnel, the very pronounced limits of personalization, and within customer channels, the customer-governed application of marketing communications, defining the correct relationship between marketing and customering is a critical control against company-created shocks to the customer asset itself. Okay, on the home straight now. Moving into Module 9, we cover the final pillar of the customering method and the only one that doesn't begin with an I, measurement. Thanks to massive over-indexing on this subject, it's an area that suffers vast malpractice. But you won't. Because having learnt about the underpinning principles of the customer imperative, the strategic and economic parameters of the customer asset itself, and the 3 I's that constitutes its quality management system, you will now learn how to test for the efficacy of that system, its component parts, and its conformance with the correct and target business outcomes. Measurement is, of course, very important, and it leads to our final teaching module. Module 10, budgeting and reporting. To budget for customer management, we must do so based on the nature of the asset itself, the systems and assets that it demands, the risk profile, and the economic frame. This attracts different budgetary treatments, though it isn't overly complicated, and to be frank, it's far more practical than what most companies are doing right now. Lastly, in holding the weighty responsibility for the company's most valuable strategic asset, we are obliged to provide effective company reports. You'll learn about applied corporate reporting and key concepts like ratios. This is a very important subject at the heart of fostering trust among your peers, executives, and the companies you work for, making you a truly respected company leader well above the norm. We conclude with an assessment and then, yes, your graduation. Remember, this is the only MBA level training available in the field anywhere. Check out the FAQ if you have any questions. I'd be delighted if you join us.